not always for the right reasons. Angel Reese's most recent move is generating news. I can tell you that the internet is in shock over ESPN's shocking announcement of Reese's new signature sneaker deal with Reebok. How did we arrive here? Despite being more well known for her off-court antics than her prowess on the court, Reese has managed to earn a big contract with a company that appears to be disregarding caution and credibility. For background, Caitlin Clark's most vocal opponent was Angel Reese. Reese has frequently been more of a show than a standout player, from making fun of Clark during games to her inflated sideline emotions. She made news again this year, but not because of her performance. Rather, it was for missing games due to dubious injuries and making few contributions when she did play. Now, however, Reebok is staking its resurgence on her name. Even Reese appears excited. I am so thrilled to confirm and inform everyone that the Reebok by Angel signature shoe will be released soon, she said. I'm excited to share with you all that we've already started the design process. Both men and women will be able to attend. Despite the excitement, one can't help but wonder about Reebok's choice. What specifically about Reese appeals to them that makes her the spokesperson for their brand comeback? What's more, who is really purchasing these shoes? At least not to the extent that it affects shoe sales. Her fan base doesn't shout allegiance. For the same result, and most likely for a much lower price, Reebok could have collaborated with any TikTok influencer. Reebok's desperation is evident in this arrangement. In a world now dominated by Adidas and Nike, the once iconic brand that reigned the 1990s has battled to remain relevant. Their decision to work with Reese seems more like a scream for assistance than a well-thought-out plan. Red flags have been present throughout Reese's career, both on and off the court. It's difficult to overlook the stark discrepancy between her rhetoric and her real contributions, even though she says this deal demonstrates that opportunities don't end in college. I want people to know that the deals don't stop in college, Reese stated. They continue when you move to the pros, and now that I'm one, they've gotten much bigger. I'm capable of so much more. However, what has she truly done to merit this amount of money? Although not very impressive, her college statistics were respectable. She has not yet established herself as a reliable player in the WNBA. At best, it's a daring decision for Reebok to base their basketball comeback on her name. Worst? A rather stupid one. When you contrast Reese with her opponent Caitlin Clark, who is unquestionably the face of women's basketball today, Reebok's choice becomes even more perplexing. On and off the court, Clark is respected, powerful, and consistent, everything Reese is not. She has agreements with Adidas and Nike, two companies that stand for the highest level of athletic achievement. Conversely, Reese is currently associated with a basketball company that has been operating on life support for years. Numbers don't lie, so let's talk about them. Reese only scored 13 points in 19 minutes on May 7th, which is by no means an impressive showing. And yet, Reebok is counting on this athlete to sell shoes? Clark, meantime, is shattering records and reinventing dominance. The disparity is striking. More than just endorsements, Clark's agreements with Nike and Adidas are collaborations with companies that support top athletes. The opposite seems to be true with Reese's Reebok deal, a company frantically holding on to a well-known individual in the hopes of becoming relevant by association. Equally dubious is Reebok's marketing strategy for Reese's shoe. With features including an energy return system and nitrogen-infused foam, the Angel by Reebok sneaker is scheduled to launch in the spring of 2025. Although that may seem amazing on paper, it's difficult to believe given that Reebok's technology has long lagged behind that of Adidas and Nike. And let's face it, does Reese actually contribute to the design process? Or is her name merely a handy way to label a product that will eventually end up on clearance shelves? Legendary Reebok players Allen Iverson and Shaquille O'Neal were also drawn out by the news of Reese's contract, and they have been called in to assist revitalize the company's basketball strategy. However, their celebrity status is insufficient to conceal this plan's basic weakness. Reebok is relying largely on nostalgia and its heyday in the 1990s to sustain it. The issue? The world of basketball has changed. Modern innovation, not nostalgia, is what young fans seek. And Reese isn't exactly the ambassador who will change that, given her erratic performances and social media-focused demeanor. In relation to her social media presence, here is where Reese excels, or is most noticeable. Her fame has undoubtedly increased as a result of her Good American promotions, Beats by Dre commercials, and Met Gala performances. But how much of her notoriety stems from her real basketball prowess? Not very much. Reese's business seems like a glitzy diversion from her lack of achievements on the court. Serious basketball enthusiasts are unlikely to purchase her branded sneaker, but her social media following may result in jersey sales. Caitlin Clark, meantime, can establish her value without the Met Gala or ostentatious advertising efforts. Her gameplay is self-evident. She is the type of athlete who makes everything she comes into contact with, including her team and the company she represents, better. Clark's greatest strength is her genuineness. Her abilities and statistics speak for themselves. She doesn't need to curate an image. Because of their recognition of this, Nike and Adidas have signed her to contracts that emphasize her as a worldwide spokesperson for women's basketball. In comparison, Reese feels like a player whose name is more well-known than her skill set, a marketing gimmick gone bad. One of Reebok's most well-known brand advocates, Shaquille O'Neal, has advocated for the affordable and accessible availability of basketball shoes. Although the goal is admirable, does Reese actually live up to it? Or is she just the handy face Reebok needed to advance their story? Shaq is a great who earned his spot in the game, which is why his stories of giving away sneakers have resonance. The collaboration feels spontaneous and disingenuous since Reese hasn't attained that degree of credibility. Even more perplexing is Reebok's overarching strategy. The firm hopes that its retro-inspired products would appeal to today's fans, but it is trapped in the past. Not at all, spoiler alert. Younger consumers have higher expectations for sporting brands in terms of innovation and performance. With their innovative technology and collaborations with elite athletes, Nike and Adidas have raised the standard. It seems like a surefire way for Reebok to fail by matching an unproven talent like Reese with antiquated tactics. The fundamental contrast between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese lies at the heart of this problem. Clark is the WNBA standard, not just its spokesperson. Every time she takes the court, she breaks records, motivates supporters, and advances women's basketball. Conversely, Reese is more concerned with upholding her social media reputation than with performing well on the hardwood. Despite being very profitable, her Reebok partnership feels like a second-tier endorsement. It was a desperate move rather than a reflection of Reese's true brilliance. In actuality, Reese's popularity is based more on hashtags and filters than on winning performances in games. Though they might make her bank account sing, her sponsorships and endorsements don't exactly shout, "elite basketball player." In comparison, Caitlin Clark doesn't have to make a lot of effort. Her brand is her gameplay. She is the type of athlete who, just by taking the court, commands respect. And for that reason, while Reese is stuck with a faltering Reebok, she is making deals with Adidas and Nike. In the end, Angel Reese's contract with Reebok speaks more about the company's present situation than it does about her athletic ability. In contrast to the strategic alliances we observe with players like Caitlin Clark, this decision is the result of desperation and nostalgia. It's unlikely that this deal will have a long-term effect on Reebok's financial situation or Reese's career, even though she might sell some sneakers. Ultimately, basketball isn't about gaudy sponsorships or influence on social media. It all comes down to leadership, competence, and consistency, qualities that Caitlin Clark exemplifies and that Angel Reese has yet to demonstrate.